My mind just exploded after reading this volume of Berserk. Like, out of all the volumes I have read thus far of Berserk, 24 volumes, this by far is the greatest volume when it comes to info dumps. Like, the info dumps in this volume is intriguing, unique, makes me understand the overall concept in the world of Berserk a lot more, and it's just so much information to process and think about. I'm just gonna let you know that right now. I might miss a couple things to talk about, but I will try my best to cover every single aspect what was revealed in this volume. So, we find out about the Astral World and the World of Origin, or like here, I got my notes. The actual world is called let's see here. The world is called the World of Idea and the Astral World. And then the physical world. There's 3 different worlds, apparently. And the 3 different worlds, you have it to where the physical realm, that's where, Guts is, humans are, that's pretty much where humankind is, the physical realm, technically our realm. And then you have the world of ideas, and the world of ideas kind of reminds me of the idea of evil, pretty much. That's what it reminds me of, but I don't necessarily think that's where the idea of evil is at, because of some different information that was given in this volume. Supposedly, from what I understand, okay, from this volume, is that there is different layers of the astral world. And as you go deeper and deeper into the astral plane or layers, you will go further and further down into the abyss, pretty much. And if I remember correctly from the earlier parts of Berserk, like the first 3 fucking volumes, and I remember the, beginning, like with the God Hand on volume 13, the abyss was represented as a well of souls, and we saw the idea of evil and all that inside this abyss with the swelling souls, and you clearly saw Guts actually think about that when the abyss was brought up. So, in a further down level, way deep down in the astral world, the abyss lays. So we found out the location of the abyss, or we didn't get the actual real target location, but we kind of know where it's at. And the thing is, you cannot go to this abyss with an ethereal body. You can't. Even with a normal ethereal body, even if you don't have your physical form, you still can't go there. So this brings up a lot of questions pretty much about this overall world concept. Like, for instance, what type of body must you have to go through the Behelit to the God Hand to meet the idea of evil? Like, what type of body must you have? Because you can't have an average astral type body when you go there. So, a lot of questions with this volume, but it's not just that. There's a lot of things they answer too, and they actually clear up a lot of things, and it raises more questions on top of that. For one thing, we find out the existence of trolls and elves. Now, this question I finally wanted to know for quite a long time was answered. Apparently, elves, trolls, and other magical beasts that probably have yet to be revealed are actually different from demons. Like, as we've seen thus far through the Berserk series, up until volume 24, every different monster we have seen has pretty much been a demon, technically a human turned into that form or shape, a demon. And from this volume, we find out that there is different creatures not just specifically tied to humans, like for instance trolls and elves. There's other creatures too, because the witch that was introduced in this chapter, the old witch, states that there was some like living legends inside the layers of the astral world. Like you had it to where the first layer, the first top layer, just the beginning of the astral world, if you were to go to the top layer, you would have these just regular beings. For instance, elves, trolls, and other magical beasts. I'm guessing manticores and stuff like that, maybe, okay? And if you go even further, from what I understood, you get to a realm that has, like, gods, demons, and angels. Now, necessarily with the demons and angels, I don't know necessarily if they're talking about actual demons, the demons we know of, like the demons that is technically used to be humans, or are they talking about a different type of demons? A lot of questions with that, but I'm willing to bet it's probably just human-type demons, since technically it's kind of obvious that the God Hand's realm, whatever realm they are part of in the astral world, is connected to the abyss. So I'm willing to bet the demons they spoke of is probably just once humans. But either way, we found out about angels. and gods. Not just one god, not the idea of evil, but gods. Interesting. So, there is angels in this series. Not just demons, not just, one god, the idea of evil. And a lot of Chibits have told me that you can't really follow the idea of evil since technically it's not considered canon. But I really don't know. I mean, with the world of origin that was mentioned in this volume, for instance, and talked about like it was the world of idea, that has a lot of like similarities to the idea of evil. And also mentioning gods, and then mentioning the abyss too, and then mentioning the Behelots were sent by some master from some part of the abyss to this physical realm. It makes me think that the idea of evil concept is not technically gone. But like some Chibits I've seen answered. But I mean, I'm guessing it might be disproven later on down the volumes. But so far, the idea of evil still seems to be canon, from what I can see. Because of the concept of the way the witch explained to Behelots how they were sent by some master from a lair of the Astral world. And it's not just that either. The thing is that since we found out about these other gods, since there's supposedly other gods, are they all evil? Or, I mean, do they all have their own motives? I mean, what exactly do these other gods do that were talked about? And, I mean, what do they look like? I mean, what importance to the story they're going to have? Because, I mean, for them to be introduced and talked about, it's really obvious that Kentaro is going to be adding them into the series. But, I mean, here's the thing, okay? Guts says something very interesting in this volume that, once again, declares what he said at the end of Volume 13 and kind of the beginning of Volume 14. He says he will find a way to strike back at these gods, these angels and demons and these gods, and fate itself. He pretty much said that in this volume, and it makes me question, will Guts one day find a way to be able to traverse the astral world? Like, go through the layers? Because let's just say this. Let's just say the idea of evil concept is thrown off the table. Let's just say it's completely non-canon. There's still a mastermind that is above the God Hand and sends the Behelots and turns them into demons. And so, to get to this master, you can't just get there because of the Behelot, because even if you have the Behelot and you go there, you still have to go through another realm, as it seems, because we saw what happened to Griffith. He went through another realm, and he saw these Behelots all around him as he was traversing through this darkness, which is obviously the abyss. So, even if it isn't the idea of evil, there's still something there. So how would Guts get there? Unless he can somehow traverse the astral world. Which I highly doubt, because the way it was set up, you can't really get there. But I mean, for the Behelots to actually kind of be different, like, I mean, for not to have a standard astral body to go there, you can't, like, have a standard body when you, like, a spirit body, then that means that you need to have something different. So maybe these gods that were introduced in these other different realms could possibly help out Guts to get to these other realms and help him out. And it's not just that either. There's a lot of other mysteries too I've actually neglected to talk about in previous volumes. I've never really talked about it much, but now I'm starting to see a little bit of a bigger picture when it comes to the series. The Skeleton Knight. He's had a very shrouded goal. We don't know his goal. We don't. We obviously know he's a good guy, but we don't know necessarily how good he is, how he really got into a situation besides certain theories we could come up with. And obviously he has a connection with the God Hand, it's obvious enough. But we don't know his true motive. I could assume it's revenge, but I could be wrong. I could assume he's trying to take down the God Hand, but I could also be wrong. But as we have seen through the course of the journey of this series of Berserk, every time there is a Behelot, like if a demon that Guts has probably slayed and he's left the Behelot behind, the Skeleton Knight has eaten the Behelot and took it inside of his body. Now, we don't necessarily know how many of these Behelots he has eaten, because he's been traveling around, I'm guessing, for 1,000 years. I want to say roughly the Skeleton Knight has been traveling for 1,000 years. And that's a long time to be demon hunting. And with how strong he is to be able to fight Zod and best him, then he's a really powerful fucking demon. And so he's probably collected a lot of Behelots. And maybe his goal is to collect all these behemoths and go to where the God Hand is. But I mean, there's a lot of interesting things around the Skeleton Knight, because from what the witch says, and we've heard it before too, not just in this volume, even if you have the behemoth, for instance, the behemoth Guts has, even if he holds it, okay, and if that behemoth's not meant for him, fated for him, then it will eventually leave him one day. There will be events eventually that will leave, like, make the behemoth leave Guts' side and will go to the person it was destined to. For instance, what happened to Griffith. That behemoth came back to him. It is destined to happen. The thing is with this volume, since that got once again, emphasized, and we do know that the Skeleton Knight is eating these behemoths, is he trying to change fate? Can he also distort fate? Because he has already said that Guts can distort fate. He can challenge fate itself. He can make a splash out of the water like a fish on the surface. Is the Skeleton Knight able to do the same thing Guts can? Because it's hinted that, if he is Geyseric, for instance, the old king of Midland in the past that was sacrificed or something, he most likely is branded. We don't know necessarily if he is branded or not, but I mean, we could assume. We could definitely assume he's branded. Because we have seen a demon branded before, for instance, that egg-shaped demon, the Nobody. So we do know demons can be branded. So it's a possibility that maybe Geyseric, or the Skeleton Knight, is branded. And maybe he can also distort fate. And that might be the reason why he's eating the behemoths. Because he can distort fate, and that would mean that the behemoths will never leave his side. Get what I'm saying here? Maybe the entire fate around this behemoth, for instance, that Guts holds on to, it can't leave his side. For instance, since Guts can actually fight fate and distort it, and he can, make a splash on the water surface, it doesn't necessarily mean that maybe the behemoth is destined to leave his side, even if it wasn't meant for him. That behemoth has a major concept, or a major role to play in the series. It definitely does, because of the beginning volumes. For Kentaro to give Guts this behemoth in the first 3 volumes, and it's still around to this day, and its overall objective is not been revealed yet, that is a vital, vital plot device in the future. I know for a fact it is. And see, I'm just getting into the shallow stuff of this volume. I'm not even getting into the really deeper parts of this volume. There's a lot of shit to cover in this volume. Like, it is insane. Like, the character development of Isidro, to Farnese, to Serpico, the witch, I think her name is Shiruke. That's what it said in Japanese, actually. It said Shiruke. Let me see. I actually have the name written down here. Yeah, Shiruke. That's her name. I wrote it down from the Wicca on Berserk. So yeah, I'm just going to say it like it is. But anyways, there's a lot going down. And a lot of mystery, too. Like, for instance, the entire ordeal with Peacock. Remember Peacock from, I think, volume 15? I think it was it's 14 or 15. Peacock. You remember the demon girl that wanted to be an elf? And we found out that the Peacock story about this person that went into the woods to become an elf, he realized he couldn't really become an elf, or he couldn't stay with them, and he went back, and time changed and nobody recognized him. Time changed completely. Obviously, that story is related to the Astral world. It's obvious, because time flowed differently. Because it's hinted at by an actual tree. In the volume, there is actually a little bit of dialogue that Shiruke actually mentions. There is this tree that's actually in this little, the treehouse section where the witches are staying. There's this tree that is incredibly big. It's massive, okay? And in the actual physical realm, the tree is dead. It's been dead for like 200 years. I think that's what it said. It was been dead for 200 years. I could be wrong, but it said it's been dead for a long time. And it's actually still alive in the, Astral world. And so the only reason why it is technically there in that form is because there was just so much belief in it in the physical realm, and like somebody believed in it or whatever, and it pretty much it continued to have its form, and it grew into a monstrous size, if I understood that correctly. So maybe this overall element with the, tree technically being dead but alive might apply to Peacock from the earlier volumes. Maybe Peacock was dead, and traversed the astral world. Went back, nobody recognized him because it's been hundreds of years. Because it's stated in this volume that the upper layer usually has a lot of wandering souls. A lot of people usually wander into the astral world, the upper layer, where you can wander in with your physical body or their spirits, and you're unaware that you're dead because of the scenery. The scenery is very similar to the regular physical realm. Like, there's barely any differences at all. And so you can wander into the astral world without even realizing it. For instance, what happened in this volume when you see how Guts and them walked into where the witches lived. And they didn't even realize they walked into the astral world like a life or death type situation. They were in a life or death state, pretty much, because of the world they were in. And to find this out, it makes me think that maybe Peacock was kind of like that. A wandering spirit that probably died. Or wandered in and died, pretty much. So, and probably wandered in deeper into the abyss. Possibility. Straight out possibility. Because we find out if you wander deeper into the abyss, you will not be able to come back. And also, we find out that the reason why technically certain areas, like for instance where the elves stay, is because they're actually in a different part of the world. For instance, they're in the astral world. And that is technically how it's able to repel demons. So, finding this out is very, very intriguing. But there's so much more to cover. Like, holy shit, there's so much from this volume. Like, the overall scene, the sight of how, remember Farnese earlier on in the Tower Conviction arc? She could not see Puck at all. She couldn't see elves, and she couldn't really even see spirits. Well, we find out the examples of this in this. We find out that if you pretty much follow the doctrine of the Holy See, and you believe in this one universal world, pretty much you get blinded to the astral world and the world of idea. And the thing is even if you don't believe in this stuff, and you believe as one universal world, and you can't see the spirits, for instance, elves and stuff, you're still not protected by the spirits. Like, it's stated earlier before that dialogue, it's stated, like, you can only be hurt by these, you know, astral beings if you can see them. And then you can physically touch them. But it's also stated, even if you can't see them, you have a subconscious mind that can actually perceive these things without you realizing it. You can't control your subconscious mind, and this in turn can cause it to where these astral beings can hurt you. For instance, spirits possessing other humans without them being aware of it, without them even realizing there are spirits around them. So this explains a lot. There's no loophole about, you know, oh, I don't believe in spirits, I don't believe in elves and stuff. You can't do that. You can't say that. Even if you want to, you still can't turn off that subconsciousness inside of you to where you can't be touched by them. So you will always have to worry about these astral beings fucking you over, even if you don't believe in them. So that overall concept explains a lot why Farnese got, you know, possessed earlier on in volume 14 or 15. It explains so fucking much. It's, oh my god. Yeah. So much shit, dude. The info dumps are insane in this volume. Like, it is fucking ridiculous. Like, I haven't even gotten into the concept of the golems, to the magic, to the, like, ego, to the odd, to the freaking elementals. I mean, there's just so much shit to cover. God. Like, man, there's so much in this. Okay, so I think the next thing I want to cover, because I think I've kind of dwelled on the topic of the astral worlds a lot. You pretty much understand what I'm going with it, and I pretty much made a couple theories with it, so I guess I should dive into other things instead of dragging it on with this one segment. Let's talk about the elementals. We find out about different elementals, for instance, fire elementals, I'm guessing earth elementals, and you find out about wind elementals. And these different elementals can actually be put inside of weapons or clothing. It's demonstrated in this volume. For instance, you have it to where the witch, Shidoke, actually gives clothing and weapons to Guts' party, and they're able to use the elementals to do damage. For instance, like, Serpico gets a feather, like a freaking feather sword. It's like a feather sword, the feathers from an eagle or whatever, a shoulder of an eagle. and it has like wind elementals embedded inside of it to where he can just actually make like a whirlwind. Like if he slices, he uses the wind because of the elementals. He was also given a robe that kind of controls air currents. Like it has an air current around him to where it can actually block incoming arrows and stuff and deflect arrows. So Serpico's kind of OP at the moment. Like holy shit. Holy shit. Like controlling the fucking wind, dude. He could fucking slice things up. He doesn't have to be near him. He could just be, like, probably... I don't even know how long. I don't know, like, how far his range goes. But I want to assume maybe 20 to 30 feet from him, he could slice shit up. So, if he was already dangerous before versus Guts in the past on that cliff, imagine how it'd be now. Shit. So, yeah, you get where I'm going with that. Dude's OP already, man. Holy fuck, he was already fighting Guts. I mean, you're giving this dude these weapons. Like, if he ever turns his blade to Guts and wants to cut his fucking head off, yeah, you get where I'm going. Speaking of Serpico, I need to get into that in just a moment. I'll talk about that with the character development segment at the later parts of this video. I just want to talk about the magic concept and the world building and stuff. So, the elementals. Besides the wind elementals, we find out the wind elementals are technically related to the elves. These little sprites. And it's really cool finding out about that. For instance, you know, Puck and all that is actually related to wind spirits, or wind elementals. And that's pretty fucking interesting. Yeah. Very interesting. Another thing is, you find out about salamanders, or the fire elementals. Either name you want to classify them as, is you have these little salamanders embedded in this dagger that was given to Isidro. Now, Isidro, he had a lot of development in this volume. Like, a shit ton of developments. And honestly, the overall dagger he got is probably going to have a lot to do with his development. I'm willing to bet that's going to have a lot of weight with his development. Because, supposedly, to effectively use these weapons, like the elementals, you need to have actual belief and faith in the elementals. The more faith and the bigger your bond grows with these elementals, they will be stronger and they will give you more power. And technically, you should never forget that they're the ones giving you power, not you using them. So, Isidro, knowing his personality thus far at how he has been, how he has actually been introduced, and the way he used the dialogue in this volume, he says he was using Guts. That's what he clearly said. He was using Guts to learn sword moves. That's what he stated. Even though you could tell he holds Guts at a high regard, and he actually really cares for Guts, he says he's using them. And that's something specifically Shidoke actually said to them. Do not think you're just using the wind spirits. Don't think you're using your own power. You're using the elementals' powers. They are using it. And you shouldn't think you're the one doing it. So, Isidro is definitely going to have some hardships with this. I definitely see that. It's probably going to cause him to have issues with his weapon. Obviously. Serpico already seems to be a prodigy with his weapon. He's already fucking shit up. Cut a freaking candle in half. Like, holy hell. So, yeah. He always actually seemed to be rather close to spirits, too. I mean, in the earlier parts of Berserk, I mean, when the elf was around, he actually saw the, you know, he saw Puck before Farnese could ever see Puck. So that's really interesting if you think about it. I actually never thought about that. Why could Serpico actually see? Huh. Very, very interesting. Why could Serpico see Puck in the earlier parts of the volume when we find out you have to have faith in other things? If you have a universal view on the world like the Holy See, then you shouldn't be able to perceive elves. So how was he able to perceive elves? Unless he just did not give a shit about the Holy See at all, which is kind of obvious since he only cared about Farnese. So I guess I just answered my own question, but still. Interesting. Very, very, very interesting. Anyways, moving on to other things I want to talk about. We find out about Griffith and his form. His physical body, or I don't even know if we should call it a physical body. Supposedly, his body is made of odd, O-D, just odd, and this odd that he's made up, supposedly any physical weapon cannot touch him. That is made in the physical realm. No physical weapon can touch Griffith at all. You don't even try to bring a regular claymore to fuck him over. It won't work. And also, he has a stronger aura around him. He charms people around him with his magnificent odd, his magical astral aura, or whatever it is. Pretty much he can charm people, and it pretty much explains a lot of things about him, why he was able to charm that knight so easy. I mean, Griffith, has always been like that. He's always been able to charm people, but it definitely seemed on an entirely different level compared to how it used to be, and so it clearly explained that entire element, how Griffith's able to, you know, charm dozens of people to join his cause because of his magnificent aura. So, moving past the overall Griffith parts now, I think I've covered all the magic ordeal, I guess. Besides the telepathy, finding out that everybody could subconsciously be connected and actually have telepathy without using hairs, like, you know, Shidoke was doing in this volume. It's pretty fucking interesting. Pretty fucking interesting. I think that's pretty much it. I think it is. Yeah, I think I covered almost everything. If I forgot anything, I'm very sorry. Just a lot of information to grasp on the top of my head. I really just use my notes. If I completely have a brain fart, I really don't usually read them. I write them down to make sure I don't fuck anything up, but I think I covered everything. So anyways, moving back on topic. Okay, so let's get into the development, I guess. Let's see, do I want to start with Isidro, Farnese, Serpico? Farnese and Serpico technically are connected with their development. Isidro, and then Guts' development. I guess let's get the Guts development out of the way, I guess. Let's just get that completely out of the way before I dive into any other aspect with this volume. So, Guts' character development. There is some mysterious things building up around Guts in these past couple volumes. Since volume 17, it's been building up. This overall Beast of Darkness, that is the official name. The Beast of Darkness has been slowly appearing more and more by the volume, and clearly this witch in this volume knows about this Beast of Darkness. And in this, you have it to where Shidoke actually sees Guts' blade, his giant-ass blade. When she looks at it, she notices something very odd and different about it. From the pages, it doesn't look like nothing's really different about it. I looked at it and I was like, is there something different about this weapon? I actually clearly looked at it to make sure if it was anything different. Like here, she stares at it. Doesn't look like nothing different. Like you just see a little bit of a black aurora around that, but I'm like, makes me think about a couple things. You telling me that maybe this Beast of Darkness could possibly be in Guts' sword? Now, I don't know necessarily, I don't remember exactly how Guts' sword was made. It's been a long while since I remember the introduction of Guts' blade. I think it was a dragon slaying sword. Wasn't that what it was? Wasn't that exactly what Guts' blade was meant for, dragon slaying? I think that was. I'll have to go back and read the volumes when his sword was made, the background to it, but maybe the reason why Guts' sword seemed different into Shidoke's eyes was because it was forged differently from other swords. Maybe Guts' sword is not really a physical realm sword. Or maybe this sword has taken up different properties about it because of the constant killing of demons. Is that a possibility? I'm led to believe that. I really am. So, a lot of questions around that. A lot of stuff building up. So, moving on to Isidro. I want to talk about him. Isidro gets a slight hint at his backstory in this volume. Supposedly, a little flashback. It was like only a panel long, and you could easily miss it if you're not paying attention enough. Pretty much, we find out it seems like Isidro ran away from home. He ran away from home wanting to do something, wanting to accomplish something. And supposedly, from what we find out in this volume, Isidro wants to become the ultimate swordsman. Is that really his goal? Because if that is, I'm like Puck. I just want to laugh my fucking ass off. When you had Puck smile and snicker, and you see the light come into his face, I wanted to laugh my ass off. I'm like, ultimate swordsman. Are you Zoro? Are you fucking Zoro? That's exactly what I thought when I saw him say that. And it's not just that either. You're telling me you want to be the ultimate swordsman, and you think you're going to be able to tank Guts or even Serpico? Fuck no! 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 You're 100 years too early, kid. Way too early. Okay? I'm just saying. The only way you're going to be the ultimate swordsman if Guts is fucking dead. Griffith is dead. Zod is dead. Skeleton Knight is dead. And Serpico is dead. When those people are dead, then you could possibly have a shot at being the ultimate swordsman. Now we got that clear, let's talk about his other development. So, Guts gives him some advice in this volume. He gives him advice to say you need to choose your own style. You can't mimic me and use my style. That's what Guts says to Isidro. Says you can't use my style. You have your own style, your own build, your own physique around you. You cannot use the same methods I use when it's to fight. And so Isidro is in that dilemma right now where he's trying to discover his own style, fighting style. I mean, we already seen a little bit of his fighting style. He is a ranged type fighter. He's really good with rocks. He can throw fucking rocks, and you see how he, like, hit a bird out of the sky in this volume. He hit a bird, which is impressive. Fucking impressive with a little rock. So, yeah, very impressive with Isidro. So, he's definitely going to lean in more to a ranged fighter, but it's very interesting finding out he wants to be the ultimate swordsman. If that really is his goal, it's like the complete opposite. I mean, he's better at throwing things than actually fighting things with a sword. So maybe his dagger he got, his elemental dagger, might be able to sling fireballs. I mean, hey, I've seen it in Dark Souls and shit. I've seen that in games. Freaking have a blade, shoot fireballs. I've seen the shit. I have. So, it's a possibility. I mean, yeah, I could see something like that happening. Other things too, I guess you have the overall rivalry building up between him and Shudoke. Since they're both technically children, they seem to be around the same age range. I don't know necessarily if Shudoke's age was revealed or not. I don't know if it was. I really don't. But even if it was, she seems to be a little girl. The same age as Isidro, or maybe even younger. Or probably older, she could be. But I don't know. She's a fucking witch. I mean, when you see that old lady witch that supposedly hasn't aged in 50 years and she's old, I mean, most likely, Shudoke can be a trap. She can be freaking, like, 40 years old and she looks like she's 10. Possibility. Fucking possibility. So, besides that, moving on to Serpico and Farnese's development. It's pretty simple with their development. I mean, they're getting a lot of development, but it's pretty simple. Like, Farnese, as you can see, her character has completely changed from its standpoint from Volume 16 and 17. She has changed. Like, amazing change. Like, her personality has changed a lot. It's insane if you look back. I went back to an earlier volume just to check, and it looked ridiculous with her personality change compared to this later volume. And I'm like, damn. So, Serpico talks to Guts, saying, like, he really wishes he was dead. For instance, Guts was dead, because he does not like the journey that Farnese is currently going on with Serpico. So, Serpico states, like, if demise ever happens to come upon Farnese because of Guts, he will come after Guts. So, Serpico is going to be an enemy. Is that a death flag? Is that a fucking death flag? Because that's not good. That's, like I said earlier in this freaking review, Serpico being Guts' enemy now with the wind elementals. Nope! 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 You don't want that shit. You don't want that shit at all. You don't. So, yeah. Overall development, really nice. I mean, I wonder exactly what overall ending development Farnese is going to have. I'm really curious to see what her final ending development will be with her partaking in this journey with Guts. Now, I think that's pretty much it besides the Skeleton Knight meeting with the witch. Pretty much, the Skeleton Knight actually talks with the witch and told the witch beforehand, before Guts ever arrived, to lend Guts and his company a hand. Now, the thing is that's brought up is that, is the Skeleton Knight doing this out of the kindness of his heart because he's a fellow struggler? Or is he doing it because he wants to use Guts? See, a lot of mysteries. A lot of mysteries. I mean, the Skeleton Knight doesn't come off as an asshole, like a evil dude. But his goals and motives are still shrouded in mystery. I mean, it's obvious to tell he's against the God Hand, but we don't know his real motives. As far as we can know, he could be the dude that wants to become the next idea of evil. I'm just fear crafting. That's just, fear crafting, okay? Don't take that serious. I'm just saying, though. So, yeah, that's pretty much the volume I want to cover, because, I mean, you have the trolls attacking at the end, the build-up for that for the next volume, which I'm pretty hyped about. And so, yeah. Can't wait to read the next volume. Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. You all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.